Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining for another day of social distancing story time. We've almost made it through week 5 here. I have an assistantless story time today because both kiddos decided to ask if they could take an early afternoon nap. I think, what's it called? Allergies. I think allergies are bugging us a little bit here. We've had a lot of rain, which we thought would knock the pollen off the trees, but we've also been spending a lot of time outside when it's not raining, and it seems like we've got some little allergies bugging at least the big kid. So even the big kid asked to take a nap today, which is okay because I think we're going to stay up late tonight for a little Disney family sing-along action. All right, first book today is Doggies, a Counting and Barking book by Sandra Boynton. 1 dog, woof. 2 dogs, woof. Yap, yap. 3 dogs, woof. Yap, yap. 4 dogs, woof. Yap, yap. Ruff, 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 ruff. 5 dogs, woof. Yap, yap. Ruff, 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 ruff. Bow, wow, 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 wow. 6 quiet dogs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 7 dogs. Woof. Yap, yap. Ruff, 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 ruff. Bow, wow, 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 wow. Arf, arf, arf. Arf, 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 arf. And ruff. 9 dogs. Ow! Ooh, ooh, ooh. On a moonlit night. 10 dogs. Woof. Ruff, 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 ruff. Yap, 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 yap. Bow, wow, 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 wow. Arf, 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 arf. Grrr. Arf, arf, arf. Ruff. Ruff, ruff, ruff. And 1 cat. Meow. The Tale of Mrs. Tittlemouse by Beatrix Potter. Sadly, I think Catherine just tuned out. She could hear my bad British accent because Catherine's American accent is about my favorite thing ever to listen to. Once upon a time, there was a wood mouse, and her name was Mrs. Tittlemouse. She lived in a bank under a hedge. Let's move closer so you can see the pictures. Such a funny little house. There were yards and yards of sandy passages leading to storerooms and nut cellars and seed cellars, all amongst the roots of the hedge. There was a kitchen, a parlour, a pantry, and a larder. Also, there was Mrs. Tittlemouse's bedroom, where she slept in a little box bed. Mrs. Tittlemouse was a most terribly tidy, particular little mouse, always sweeping and dusting the soft, sandy floors. Sometimes a beetle lost its way in the passages. "Shh, shh, little dirty feet," said Mrs. Tittlemouse, clattering her dustpan. And one day a little old woman ran up and down in a red spotty cloak. "Your house is on fire, Mother Ladybird. Fly away home to your children." Another day a big fat spider came in to shelter from the rain. "Beg pardon, is this not Miss Muffet's?" "Go away, you bold bad spider, leaving ends of cobweb all over my nice clean house." She bundled the spider out at a window. He let himself down the hedge with a long, thin bit of string. Mrs. Tittlemouse went on her way to a distant storeroom to fetch cherry stones and thistledown seed for dinner. All along the passage she sniffed.
and looked at the floor. "I smell a smell of honey. Is it the cowslips outside in the hedge? I am sure I can see the marks of little dirty feet." Suddenly, round a corner, she met Babbity Bumble. "Zzz, bzz, bzz," said the bumblebee. Mrs. Tittlemouse looked at her severely. She wished that she had a broom. "Good day, Babbity Bumble. I should be glad to buy some beeswax, but what are you doing down here? Why do you always come in at a window and say zzz, bizz, bizz?" Mrs. Tittlemouse began to get cross. "Zzz, whiz, whiz," replied Babbity Bumble in a peevish squeak. She sidled down a passage and disappeared into a storeroom which had been used for acorns. Mrs. Tittlemouse had eaten the acorns before Christmas. The storeroom ought to have been empty, but it was full of untidy, dry moss. Mrs. Tittlemouse began to pull out the moss. 3 or 4 other bees put their heads out and buzzed fiercely. "I'm not in the habit of letting lodgings. This is an intrusion," said Mrs. Tittlemouse. "I will have them turned out." Buzz, buzz, buzz. "I wonder who would help me. Bzz, bzz, bzz. I will not have Mr. Jackson. He never wipes his feet." Mrs. Tittlemouse decided to leave the bees till after dinner. When she got back to the parlor, she heard someone coughing in a fat voice, and there sat Mr. Jackson himself. He was sitting all over a small rocking chair, twiddling his thumbs and smiling with his feet on the fender. He lived in a drain below the hedge in a very dirty wet ditch.
"How do you do, Mrs. Jackson? Dearie me, you have got very wet."
"Thank you, thank you, thank you."
Oh, wait, I did those voices wrong.
"How do you do, Mr. Jackson? Dearie me, you have got very wet."
"Thank you, thank you, thank you, Mrs. Tittlemouse. I'll sit a while and dry myself,"
said Mr. Jackson. He sat and smiled, and the water dripped off his coat-tails. Mrs. Tittlemouse went round with a mop. He sat such a while that he had to be asked if he would like to take some dinner. First, she offered him cherry stones.
Thank you, Mrs. Tittlemouse. No teeth, no teeth, no teeth,"
said Mr. Jackson. He opened his mouth most unnecessarily wide. He certainly had not a tooth in his head. Then she offered him thistledown seed.
"Tilly willy willy, poof puff poof," said Mr. Jackson.
He blew the thistledown all over the room.
Thank you, Mrs. Tittlemouse. Now what I really should like would be a little dish of honey."
"I'm afraid I've not got any, Mr. Jackson," said Mrs. Tittlemouse.
"Tilly willy willy, Mrs. Tittlemouse," said the smiling Mr. Jackson. "I can smell it. That's why I came to call."
Mr. Jackson rose ponderously from the table and began to look into the cupboards. Mrs. Tittlemouse followed him with a dishcloth to wipe his large wet footmarks off the parlor floor. When he had convinced himself that there was no honey in the cupboards, he began to walk down the passage.
Indeed, you will stick fast, Mr. Jackson."
"Tiddly widdly widdly, Mrs. Tittlemouse."
First, he squeezed into the pantry.
"Tiddly widdly widdly, no honey, Mrs. Tittlemouse."
Then there were 3 creepy-crawly people hiding in the plate rack. 2 of them got away, but the littlest one he caught. Then he squeezed into the larder. Miss Butterfly was tasting the sugar, but she flew away out of the window.
"Tiddly widdly widdly, Mrs. Tittlemouse, you seem to have plenty of visitors."
"And without any invitation," said Mrs. Thomasina Tittlemouse. They went along the sandy passage.
"Tiddly widdly,
buzz, bzz, bzz," he met Babbity round a corner and snapped her up and put her down again.
"I do not like bumblebees. They are all over bristles,"
said Mr. Jackson, wiping his mouth with his coat sleeve.
"Get out, you nasty old toad!" shrieked Babbity Bumble.
"I shall go distracted," scolded Mrs. Tittlemouse. She shut herself up in the nut cellar while Mr. Jackson pulled out the bee's nest. He seemed to have no objection to stings. When Mrs. Tittlemouse ventured to come out, everybody had gone away. But the untidiness was something dreadful. "Never did I see such a mess, smears of honey and moss and thistledown and marks of big and little dirty feet all over my nice clean house."
She gathered up the moss and the remains of the beeswax. Then she went out and fetched some twigs to partly close up the front door. I will make it too small for Mr. Jackson. Next morning, she got up very early. Oops, hold on. There we go. She fetched soft soap and flannel and a new scrubbing brush from the storeroom, but she was too tired to do any more. First, she fell asleep in her chair. Then she went to bed. "Will it ever be tidy again?" said poor Mrs. Tittlemouse. Next morning, she got up very early and began a spring cleaning which lasted a fortnight. She swept and scrubbed and dusted, and she rubbed up the furniture with beeswax and polished her little tin spoons. When it was all beautifully neat and clean, she gave a party to 5 other little mice without Mr. Jackson. He smelt the party and came up the bank, but he could not squeeze in at the door. So they handed him out acorn cupfuls of honeydew through the window, and he was not at all offended. He sat outside in the sun and said,
"Tiddly widdly widdly, your very good health, Mrs. Tittlemouse."
The end. All right. Now we've got the Dr. Seuss hit, Green Eggs and Ham. This might be my favorite Dr. Seuss book. I am Sam. Sam, I am. That's Sam I am, that's Sam I am. I do not like that Sam I am. Do you like green eggs and ham? I do not like them, Sam I am. No, I do not like green eggs and ham. Would you like them here or there? I would not like them here or there. I would not like them anywhere. I do not like green eggs and ham. I do not like them, Sam I am. Would you like them in a house? Would you like them with a mouse? I do not like them in a house. I do not like them with a mouse. I do not like them here or there. I do not like them anywhere. I do not like green eggs and ham. I do not like them, Sam I am. Would you like them in a box? Would you like them with a fox? Not in a box, not with a fox, not in a house, not with a mouse. I would not eat them here or there. I would not eat them anywhere. I would not eat green eggs and ham. I do not like them, Sam I am. Would you, could you in a car? Eat them, here they are. I would not, could not in a car. You may like them, you will see. You may like them in a tree. I would not, could not in a tree, not in a car, you let me be. I do not like them in a box. I do not like them with a fox. I do not like them in a house. I do not like them with a mouse. I do not like them here or there. I do not like them anywhere. I do not like green eggs and ham. I do not like them, Sam I am. A train, a train, a train, a train. Could you, would you on a train? Not on a train, not in a tree, not in a car. Sam, let me be. I would not, could not in a box. I could not, would not with a fox. I will not eat them with a mouse. I will not eat them in a house. I will not eat them here or there. I will not eat them anywhere. I do not eat green eggs and ham. I do not like them, Sam I am. Say, in the dark? Here in the dark? Would you, could you in the dark? I would not, could not in the dark. Would you, could you in the rain? I would not, could not in the rain, not in the dark, not on a train, not in a car, not in a tree. I do not like them, Sam, you see. Not in a house, not in a box, not with a mouse, not with a fox. I will not eat them here or there. I do not like them anywhere. You do not like green eggs and ham? I do not like them, Sam, I am. Could you, would you with a goat? I could not, would not with a goat. Would you, could you on a boat? What do you think he's going to say? I could not, would not on a boat. I will not with a goat. I will not eat them in the rain. I will not eat them on a train. Not in the dark, not in a tree, not in a car. You let me be. I do not like them in a box. I do not like them with a fox. I will not eat them in a house. I do not like them with a mouse. I do not like them here or there. I do not like them anywhere. I do not like green eggs and ham. I do not like them, Sam. I am. You do not like them, so you say, try them, and you may. Try them, and you may, I say. Sam,
If you will let me be, I will try them. You will see. You think he's going to like them? Say! I do like green eggs and ham. I do. I like them, Sam, I am. And I will eat them in a boat, and I would eat them with a goat. And I will eat them in the rain and in the dark and on a train and in a car and in a tree. They are so, so good, you see. So I will eat them in a box, and I will eat them with a fox, and I will eat them in a house, and I will eat them with a mouse, and I will eat them here and there. Say, I will eat them anywhere. So I do so like green eggs and ham. Thank you, Sam, I am. Well, that was a surprise ending. Did you think he was going to like them? I didn't think so. Okay, now we've got Tangled from Disney. This is the story of Rapunzel. Girls got to meet Rapunzel and Flynn Rider when we went to Disney World in January. It was such an exciting trip. Rapunzel had long golden hair. What do you think? You think like mine? Probably longer. With magical healing powers. Mother Gothel wanted all the powers for herself, so she kept Rapunzel locked away from the world in a tall tower. Mother Gothel came and went from the tower as she pleased. To enter the tower, Mother Gothel would shout, "Rapunzel, let down your hair!" Then Rapunzel would pull her up into the tower. Rapunzel did not know that Mother Gothel was not her real mother. When Rapunzel was a baby, Mother Gothel had stolen her from her parents, the king and queen. Greedy Mother Gothel wanted Rapunzel's hair for its magical healing powers to keep her young and beautiful. The king and queen missed their daughter very much. Every year on Rapunzel's birthday, the entire kingdom sent out floating lights. They hoped to show their lost princess the way home. Rapunzel saw the floating lights every year from her tower. She had always felt they were meant for her. She had even painted them on her walls. She had begged Mother Gothel to take her to see the lights on her birthday, but Mother Gothel said the outside world was too dangerous. The day before Rapunzel's 18th birthday, a thief named Flynn Rider stumbled upon the tower. Flynn had stolen the crown that belonged to the lost princess. Now he was being chased by Maximus, one of the palace horses. Using 2 arrows, Flynn climbed up the tower looking for a place to hide. Rapunzel spotted Flynn. She knocked out the thief with a frying pan and tied him up with her hair. Then she found the stolen crown. Rapunzel didn't know what it was, but when she tried the crown on, it seemed familiar. Rapunzel knew the crown must be important, so she hid it from Flynn. Since Mother Gothel had just left, Rapunzel made a deal with Flynn. She promised to return the crown to him if he would take her to see the floating lights. Of course, Flynn agreed. Flynn used the arrows to climb slowly down the tower, but Rapunzel flew past him, holding onto her hair. Down, down, down she slid. Rapunzel grew to love the world outside her tower. It was new and exciting. The people were nice, not scary like Mother Gothel had said. Flynn and Rapunzel traveled through the forest. They had a little more than a day to reach the kingdom in time to see the floating lights. It was an incredible day. It was a day filled with adventure. Rapunzel also revealed her biggest secret to Flynn. That evening she healed a cut on his hand with her magical glowing hair. My hair can't do that, can yours? Flynn liked Rapunzel. She was special. He realized he would do anything for her. He would even stop being a thief. The next day, Maximus caught up with Flynn. The palace horse wanted to put the thief in jail, but Rapunzel won over Maximus. "It's my birthday," Rapunzel explained sweetly. So Flynn and Maximus agreed not to fight for one day. At the kingdom, everyone was celebrating the birthday of the lost princess, the same birthday as Rapunzel's. But Rapunzel didn't know that she was the lost princess. She also saw a picture of the king, queen, and their daughter. The baby had the same green eyes as Rapunzel. But Rapunzel still didn't know that she was the lost princess. Flynn and Rapunzel had a wonderful day, and when evening approached, it was time to see the floating lights. Rapunzel was nervous. Her dream was about to come true. She wondered what would happen after that. "That's the good part," Flynn said later that night, gazing into her eyes. "You get to find a new dream." At last, Rapunzel saw the floating lights up close, and she realized that now she had a new dream with Flynn. Then something terrible happened. Mother Gothel tricked Flynn. She got 2 bad guys to help her. The thugs knocked Flynn out and tied him to a boat. But Rapunzel saw none of this. She only saw Flynn sailing away without her. Heartbroken, she thought Flynn had left her. Flynn's boat crashed into the kingdom's dock. Flynn was captured by the royal guards and taken to jail. Luckily, Maximus had seen everything. The horse galloped off for help. Maximus returned to the jail with some people from the forest. They helped Flynn escape, launching him over the wall and into Maximus, who was waiting on the other side. Then the pair rushed to save Rapunzel. Back at the tower with Mother Gothel, Rapunzel began to remember. She remembered how the crown had felt on her head. She looked at the paintings on her walls. She now saw that she had been painting the kingdom's emblem on her walls her entire life. She also remembered the picture of the lost princess and how they shared a birthday. Now Rapunzel knew that Mother Gothel had lied to her. "I am the lost princess," she exclaimed angrily to Mother Gothel. Just then Flynn arrived at the tower. He yelled, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair!" He climbed up her hair and into the tower. When Flynn reached the top, Mother Gothel was there waiting with a dagger. She hurt him badly. Rapunzel rushed to heal him with her magical hair, but Flynn cut it. He believed that once it was cut, Rapunzel's beautiful hair would lose its magical healing powers, the only way to free Rapunzel from Mother Gothel forever. Just as Flynn had hoped, once it was cut, Rapunzel's hair lost its magic. Mother Gothel withered away into dust. Rapunzel cried. She thought she could no longer help Flynn. Luckily, she cried one magical golden tear. It landed on his cheek and healed him. Flynn and Rapunzel returned to the palace. The king and queen hugged her. For the first time, Rapunzel felt the true love of her real parents. Rapunzel became a princess once again. She no longer had magical hair, but she had the love of her kingdom, her parents, and Flynn, and they all lived happily ever after. All right, I think that's it for today. It's a short one. I gotta go do some work. Thanks for tuning in. See you tomorrow. Bye.